Welcome back to Cinema Flicks Music Picks. I'm Davey, your host with the most, the beast with the least. Least I can do today is continue on with our look at last year's albums and indeed my favourite of them. And in joint 6th place, as indeed the caveat being all of these are honourable mentions until I get to the top 5, so they're all joint 6th, and the order shouldn't be taken as anything seriously until the top 5. So in joint 6th place is the debut album by the Isle of Wight band, Wet Leg. They are two young ladies. Rianne Teasdale does most of the lead vocals, plays some guitar, and Hester Chambers plays more guitar and does some of the vocals and quite a few backing vocals and harmonies. They've been supplemented with Michael Champion on drums and Henry Holmes on Michael Champion's on bass and drums by Henry Holmes, synths and synth programming by Dan Carey. And Dan Carey, if you don't know him, has produced Black Midi and who's the other big one? It's kind of an indie darling producer, Fontaine's DC. So he's certainly in that world of indie darlings, and indie darlings indeed. This year or this past year, so the single, or I guess it would be the single itself would be the year before, towards the end, wouldn't it? So the end of 2021. So the single Chaise Long go quite viral. The music video go quite viral, and it went around the internet and became very popular out of nowhere for a debut single. And there's always that worry, isn't there, when a band has a kind of viral thing. It's like, well, how do you follow that up? Are they going to, one trick pony? Is it going to be an album of that? And then earlier this year, we get the answer through the album. And just like they're on Domino Records, but just like another act who were started out in Domino way back in 2005, the Arctic Monkeys, who we all wondered, can they follow up Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor? The answer is very much yes, very much. Their sound, how can you best describe it? I mean, it's very much indie rock pop, but they incorporate some synth pop, some dream pop, quite a bit of post-punk, some really heavy guitar riffing, so very much on the rock side of indie rock, and then in individual tracks there's parts that are even grungy and there's parts that are even country-like, just for a few moments here and there. It's quite a wonderful melting pot of all sorts of music. I mean, indie rock pop probably sums it up generally best, but they're one of those bands you kind of need to just listen to their music and kind of experience for yourself to hear, well, this is, their sound is their sound. So they're a band who've taken a lot of influences from the 80s and 90s, but they're not a band who seem like they've just been plucked from the 80s and 90s. I mean, there's parts where you can hear little bits of Blondie. There's parts where you can hear little bits of Kraftwerk. There's parts where you can hear little bits of Black Midi, actually. There's parts where you can hear a little bit of Stone Roses. There's parts where you can hear a little bit of when what's her name fronts Arcade Fire. I forgot her name. The female singer in Arcade Fire. So they're very eclectic, but also very cohesive at the same time. Nothing seems out of place. The best way to really think of them is a band who are wonderful musically, but also fantastic message-wise. And I can't stress enough how well they've done in this debut album. It went to number 1 in the charts for a debut album. That's just sensational. And it did go top 20 in the US, and they were on US talk shows, so they've done remarkably well from almost out of nowhere, just from that viral hit. but all their lyrics are so fantastic. I believe it is Rianne who writes most of the lyrics, Rianne Teasdale, the lead singer. She's so acidic, so wonderful, so modern, so 2023, so but and anybody who's heard Chaise Long as a single would know that. I mean, is your muffin buttered? Would you like me to assign someone to butter your muffin? I mean, that's a quote from Mean Girls. I went to school, I got a degree, they call it the big D, I got the big D, I got the big D. So that, very tongue-in-cheek to say the least. Being in Love's a great opener. It kind of kicks us off with the kind of almost power poppy kind of thing, making fun of the la la la's that you'll get on these kind of tracks. I Don't Want to Go Out takes the kind of riff from David Bowie's original version of The Man Who Sold the World. Plays around with that. You get the title tracks with Wet Dream by Wet Dream, which is pretty cool. So always love it when you get a band who have a track named after themselves, and that's cool because it's almost like Star Trek. It's all about beam me up, and quite erotic as well. They are quite they're not very emotional lyrics in the sense that they'll get you upset or anything, but they're emotional lyrics in that you'll resonate with. Quite a few of the songs seem to be about bad breakups, but they're very much a fuck you, of coming from a female perspective rather than Adele like poor me kind of female perspective, if that makes sense. I mean, loving you, we had it all. I mean, that is an Adele lyric. We could have had it all, but what did they do? And Wet Leg, they turn it into when you say she looks a bit like me when we first met. I don't want to have to be friends. I don't want to have to pretend. I don't want to meet your girlfriend. Hope you choke on your girlfriend. Don't call me up, you fucked up. I'm not your friend, I'm not your pal. You're fucking wishing I was, though, every time you see me. You may think about me in the midnight hour. I know you're just rubbing one out in the shower. Sorry if I seem a little bit upset when you tried calling me because I'm not DTF. I don't want to have to be friends. I don't want to have to pretend. Well, I hope you're very happy. Hope she gets on with your daddy. After all, I don't want to have to be someone you want to marry. Fucking hell, yeah, that's the life of Miz. I don't want to have to be the one to say I'm sorry, because I'm not. That's fucking faking it. Am I scaring you? Well, what's a girl to do? I don't want to have to stay friends. I don't want to have to pretend. I don't want to meet your girlfriend. Hope you're choking on your girlfriend. When she calls 999, they cut the line on you. What did I say about acidic? It's wonderful. Lyrical brilliance throughout. It's very much no allegory. It's all just emotion coming straight from this is exactly how you feel in the heat of the moment. Heat of the moment sums this band up. They play with pure passion and abandon. They sing and write with passion and abandon. Nothing feels overcooked. Everything feels raw and emotional, but in a kind of upbeat emotional way, like, oh yeah, fucking you tell the bastards, rather than, again, feeling sorry for themselves. Piece of shit, the wonderful name Piece of Shit, about goes into some fecal lyrics which I won't go through just now. Supermarket's fantastic. That's a really upbeat track, about kind of post-punk track about being far too high and going to the supermarket and ending up with a load of rubbish that you didn't intend to purchase. And then Too Late Now is a wonderful track to end on. To tell me if I'm thin or fat, to tell me I should shave my rat. She's not talking about about her pet. I don't need no radio, no MTV, no BBC. I just need a bubble bath to set me on a higher path. And that's how the album ends, with I need a bubble bath to set me on a higher path. And that's so real to me. They're not looking to change the world. They're not looking for great answers. They're not looking to tell you, this is the great relationship drama of all time. She's just saying, oh, for fuck's sake, what a shit week, I need a bubble bath. Who can't relate to that? Who can't relate to that? Just let me go home and fucking forget this bullshit. It would mean little if the music wasn't also fantastic, and it is. It is absolutely wonderful. Again, when you've got the producer of Black Midi and Fontaine's DC, you're going to be doing something right already, because the guy knows what he's doing. But it would be nothing without their skill and their sounds and what they know they want to go for, and everything's perfectly picked. When a track feels like it should be more of a rocker, that's when it becomes a more indie rock track. When a track feels like it needs a bit more punk attitudes, yeah, they start punking it up. When it feels a bit more retro, the synths come out and we go a bit 80s. So yeah, this is maybe the debut album of the year, maybe. But certainly Wet Leg by Wet Leg, joint sixth, easy decision, wonderful album, highly recommended. And yeah, I think they've already teased the second album. Well, at one point they teased that it was already completed, and then they said, nah, we just lied about that. So they are playful, to say the least, these two young ladies. But yeah, number 6, joint number 6, Wet Leg with Wet Leg. So from the Isle of Wight, and the first act from the Isle of Wight ever to have a number 1 album. So bless them. Hokey cokey, stay very safe out there, and love and mercy to you. Have a nice bubble bath.